Tonight on CTV, we'll take a look at how Denver is handling COVID-19 and an update on CSU basketball.
Then we'll see what all the buzz is about over the bee population and a new mental health exhibit in the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery.
All that and more on CTV starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Ren Wadsworth.
And I'm Robbie Patla. We have a packed show for you all tonight, so let's get right into it. This week marks the 20th Annual Diversity Symposium here at Colorado State University. The first day of this event sparked some significant controversy. On Monday, October 19th, CSU's annual Diversity Symposium began. Even though the event was moved to a fully virtual format, it's still filled with a week's worth of seminars and speakers talking about the topic of diversity and inclusion. Not all of the sessions may have lived up to this, however. Monday's keynote speaker, Dr. Milena Abdullah, an academic and civil leader who also co-founded the Black Lives Matter chapter in Los Angeles, spoke on racial diversity. Dr. Abdullah has also been affiliated with the Nation of Islam at certain events and through social media. Members of the CSU community expressed concerns about Abdullah's presence in the Diversity Symposium due to the Nation of Islam's history of anti-Semitic and anti-LGBTQ views. While some members of the community have been known to see her as a token of diversity and equality, others, mainly being those of the Jewish and LGBTQ communities, see her as the opposite. CSU President Joyce McConnell sent an email to the community in which she acknowledged these concerns. In her email, she wrote, "As a university community, we must understand that sometimes our values can only be demonstrated under circumstances that challenge them. CSU can protect First Amendment rights while at the same time use its own free speech to identify and condemn hate bigotry when it appears." Some CSU students have also shared their thoughts on this topic.
Because I know having someone like that on campus doesn't make me feel comfortable, because I know that their voice, while it might be supporting one group, is also going out and giving very anti-Semite and anti-equality views out that can be dangerous.
Despite the controversy, the CSU community still promotes diversity on campus in many ways, and it will not end anytime soon.
Throughout our past shows, we've been keeping you updated on the Cameron Peak fire, and tonight we have some resources for those affected by both voluntary and mandatory evacuations. To some, the fire may seem like a far-off threat, but to many Colorado State University students, the threat is all too real.
When students came back to Colorado State University this semester, helping their parents evacuate their home wasn't on their checklist. But sophomore Sarah Cromwell's semester has been anything but ordinary lately.
My parents called me. The first evacuation notice was at like 10 o'clock at night on Friday. They called me and they're like, "Hey, can you come help?" So the process was 10 o'clock at night, them calling me rushing home, which is like a 30-minute drive.
But this wasn't a one-time occurrence. The Cromwell family has had to evacuate 4 times, 2 of which were voluntary.
Families like the Cromwells relied on text messages to find out whether or not they had to evacuate their homes and how long they had.
Fire isn't the only thing people have to watch for when evacuating. Sarah says people who want to look at the fire crowd the roads and make it difficult for those trying to make it home or evacuate.
The day that we had to evacuate the first time, it was about 40 minutes for me to just wait to turn into my neighborhood because police were having to turn around cars of just people that wanted to go look at the fire.
Sarah and her family are keeping a close eye on the fire, but she encourages those impacted to reach out.
Just say, "Hey, my family's evacuating all the time and there's a chance I might need help."
Ren Wadsworth, CTV, Channel 11.
If you or anyone you know has been affected by the Cameron Peak fire, Colorado State University is offering financial assistance, funds, as well as temporary housing. CSU evacuation resources can be found at source.colostate.edu.
As COVID-19 continues to impact everyone across the world, Fort Collins is taking measures to bring relief to the community. The Federal CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund is currently being used in a multiple of ways to help support recovery throughout the city. Nearly $9 million have been distributed to small businesses, nonprofits, and local programs. As of October 6th, over 320 establishments have begun the application process for assistance. The program is and will continue efforts to supply safely services, including products such as sanitizer and other disinfectant supplies for the benefit of public health.
Halloween is right around the corner, and Colorado State University is offering advice for students who choose to throw parties. On the registration website for the school, the first line students see is discouraging students from participating in parties. But it goes on to explain that should you or someone you know throw a party, to adhere to the social gathering tips they provide, which include keeping your party small, with 10 people or less, social distancing, and wearing masks. The spooky season may not be what any of us expected, but there are still plenty of ways to get into the spirit of Halloween. But don't worry, because Claire Green with Entertainment has a few ideas with how to keep you festive this fall while still adhering to COVID-19 guidelines.
Colorado State University has partnered with the online taxi service Lyft to provide those in the CSU community an alternative form of transportation. COVID-19 has presented challenges for those who depend on campus transportation services. However, the new Ramride-Lyft merger will provide members of CSU with discounted rides for Lyft and Lyft XL. Students should have received an email from Lyft with a link to their activation. Once activated, students anywhere in the U.S. can receive a discount of 50% on rides applying up to $10 for any Lyft service. Students, this offer runs for 4 times a month, and it runs from Thursday and Friday nights from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. This offer will be available through December 19th and will continue to be available during the fall break.
Winter is slowly rolling in, and the city of Fort Collins is reducing their water use early. The drought and wildfires in Colorado are a huge inspiration to why Larimer County is pushing for reduced water usage from citizens and businesses. However, they aren't the only ones making the decision to do so. Colorado State University is on board with what is called the Horsetooth Outlet Program. The program is meant to repair and upgrade the Soldier Canyon Dam, which supplies water to more than 200,000 businesses and residents in Fort Collins alone. These new restrictions do not apply to raw water, which is used for irrigation. A water conservation analyst from Fort Collins Utilities, Alice Konovitz, describes how it's not just the city's responsibility to reduce water in the upcoming months. We still need the community's help through October and November. Small actions can make a big difference. If we all do our part, we can make the most out of our water resources. You can reduce your own personal water usage by watering lawns and plants less frequently, taking shorter showers, and reusing water when possible.
After receiving a grant from the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, CSU has begun investigating emergency food provisions. The study found that local responses to these concerns depend on 3 factors: adaptable supply chains being able to feed vulnerable populations, more cross-sector collaboration within large cities, and addressing gaps in communities with populations at higher risk. The team is conducting further research to explore this topic and believe that more guidance from the federal government may improve the effectiveness of the responses.
A few weeks ago, I talked about the tighter social gathering restrictions going on in Boulder County. More recently, it appears similar constraints have been placed into effect throughout Denver County. The city of Denver has tightened the face mask mandate to now require masks at all times while outdoors. Previously, Denver had only required masks while indoors. Additionally, the capital city will be limiting gatherings to no more than 5 people. The new rule does not affect businesses or those living in the same residence. The regulation on social gatherings is in effect until November 16th, while the outdoor face mask mandate is in effect indefinitely. As another college's social distancing protocols become stricter, Larimer County could potentially be soon to follow.
With the coronavirus restrictions still in order, restaurants are continuing to make changes to best fit the needs of customers around Fort Collins. Many establishments are expanding their outdoor seating options, some even planning to winterize their locations. Steps being taken include patio heaters, tents, and other precautions that will allow for a comfortable and safe dining experience. These provisions are in response to the September announcement that the city will continue the dining program as long as Colorado Governor Jared Polis has the pandemic statewide emergency order in place.
You may have heard about a recent beetle outbreak in Colorado trees, but new research is suggesting this may actually lead to new life. A regional spruce beetle, which kills trees, but the ground cover created by these beetles serves as the perfect habitat for bees in these settings. Research done through a study at CSU found a significant increase in floral vegetation as well as diversity in the bee population where the infected trees used to be.
These huge pine stands that are really incredibly dense also create a really dense leaf litter area, which not only suppresses a lot of these herbaceous plants that bees go to. You have flowers won't grow underneath lodgepole pines. If you take out a large percentage of lodgepole pine or thin a stand, you allow these other plants to come in, then you allow native bees to come in as well.
The species has shown endurance for harsh environments and higher elevations compared to other bees. The growth in the buzzing new population is good news for the forest as well. The wild bees perform essential pollination, which benefits ecosystems with shorter growing seasons. In a time of destructions, these little insects show us that hope can be found in even the most unlikely of places. Now, you may think that Colorado is the perfect place to live. If you do, you wouldn't be alone. According to a recent U.S. News and World Report, 4 of the top 5 best places to live are in Colorado. Fort Collins is ranked number 5 when compared to larger cities, whereas my hometown of Colorado Springs takes the number 4 spot. Denver at number 2, and while some Ram fans may not be a fan of this listing, Boulder as number 1 place to live for 2020 and 2021. If you're upset about how Fort Collins ranked in this particular survey, stick around for entertainment because Claire Green talks about how it ranks when compared to smaller cities across the nation.
That's all the hard-hitting news we have for you tonight, Rams.
But don't go anywhere because Claire Green is coming up right after the break with your entertainment scoop, so stick around.